Hey there, fellow Americans. If you've been anxiously checking your mailbox for some financial relief, I've got breaking news that you absolutely need to hear right now. The IRS has just announced a massive stimulus payment that could put $2,345 in your pocket as early as this Monday. Before we dive into all the details about who qualifies and how to claim your check, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss out on crucial financial updates like this one. The Trump administration's latest stimulus initiative is making waves across the country, and for good reason. This one-time payment of $2,345 is part of a previously overlooked provision from the last administration's economic relief package that's finally being implemented. But here's the burning question: are you one of the millions of Americans eligible for this unexpected windfall? Let's break down everything you need to know about this upcoming payment. First, let me address what's probably on your mind. Is this really happening? Yes, it absolutely is. The IRS has confirmed that these payments will begin processing this Monday, and eligible recipients could see their checks arrive in their mailboxes within 7-14 business days. This isn't just another internet rumor or clickbait story. This is legitimate federal assistance that could help countless families across the nation. Now, you might be wondering why this payment is just coming to light now, several years after the Trump administration left office. The truth is, this particular provision was buried deep within the complex legislation of the time, and it's taken this long for the bureaucratic machinery to align all the necessary components for implementation. The IRS has been working behind the scenes to verify eligibility and prepare the distribution system. But here's where things get really interesting. The qualification criteria for this stimulus check are different from previous payments. Unlike earlier stimulus programs that were primarily based on income thresholds, this payment takes into account a broader range of factors. Have you filed taxes in the last 3 years? Did you receive any previous stimulus payments? Have you had any changes in your employment status since 2020? All of these elements play a crucial role in determining your eligibility. Let's talk about the specific requirements that could make you eligible for this $2,345 payment. The primary qualification is that you must have been a U.S. resident for the entire 2020 tax year and have filed returns for both 2020 and 2021. Your adjusted gross income must fall within certain parameters, generally under $75,000 for single filers and $150,000 for married couples filing jointly. But here's the kicker: there are additional considerations that could work in your favor even if you exceed these thresholds. One of the most notable aspects of this stimulus payment is its attention to those who may have fallen through the cracks of previous relief programs. Did you experience a significant drop in income during the pandemic? Were you self-employed or working in the gig economy? These circumstances could actually increase your chances of qualifying for the full amount. The Trump administration designed this provision specifically to catch those who might have been overlooked in earlier rounds of assistance. Something that's particularly important to understand is the timing of this payment. While the initial processing begins this Monday, the IRS has emphasized that this will be a rolling distribution. This means that even if you don't receive your check in the first wave, you shouldn't panic. The distribution is expected to continue over several weeks, with payments being sent out based on geographic location and the last 4 digits of recipients' social security numbers. But here's a crucial piece of advice: don't just sit back and wait for your check to arrive. There are several steps you can take right now to ensure you don't miss out on this opportunity. Have you verified that the IRS has your current mailing address? Have you checked the status of your previous tax returns? Are there any outstanding issues that need to be resolved with the IRS? Taking action on these points could be the difference between receiving your payment promptly or facing delays. The impact of this stimulus payment could be significant for many Americans. Think about it: $2,345 could cover several months of utilities, make a substantial dent in credit card debt, or provide a much-needed buffer in your emergency fund. How would you use this unexpected financial boost? The beauty of this payment is that there are no restrictions on how you can spend it, unlike some other forms of federal assistance. One aspect that's generating a lot of discussion is the potential economic impact of this stimulus distribution. Economic experts are divided on how this influx of cash into the economy might affect inflation rates and consumer spending patterns. Some argue that it could provide a much-needed boost to local economies, while others express concern about potential inflationary pressures. What's your take on this? How do you think this stimulus payment might affect your local community? The IRS has set up a dedicated hotline and website portal to handle inquiries about this payment, but they're already experiencing high volume. If you're planning to check on your eligibility or payment status, you might want to do so during off-peak hours to avoid system overloads. Have you tried accessing the IRS portal yet? What has your experience been like? Something that's particularly noteworthy about this stimulus payment is its connection to previous relief programs. If you received earlier stimulus checks, this doesn't automatically disqualify you from this one. In fact, the IRS will be using some of the information from previous distributions to streamline the process. However, there are some new verification steps in place to prevent fraud and ensure that payments reach their intended recipients. The rollout of this payment also includes special provisions for certain groups. Are you a veteran? A senior citizen on fixed income? A disabled individual receiving benefits? There might be additional advantages or considerations that apply to your situation. The legislation includes specific clauses designed to ensure that vulnerable populations aren't overlooked in the distribution process. One question that keeps coming up is whether this payment will be taxable. The good news is that, like previous stimulus payments, this $2,345 is not considered taxable income. You won't need to report it on your next tax return, and it won't affect your tax bracket or eligibility for other benefits. Isn't it refreshing to get financial assistance that doesn't come with a tax burden? The timing of this payment is particularly significant given the current economic climate. With inflation concerns, rising interest rates, and ongoing market volatility, many Americans could use this financial boost. Have you noticed how the cost of everyday items has been increasing? This stimulus payment could help offset some of those rising expenses. Let's address some common concerns about this payment. Many people are asking if this is a loan that needs to be repaid. It's not. Others wonder if accepting this payment will affect their eligibility for other government benefits. It won't. These are important clarifications that should put your mind at ease if you're eligible to receive the payment. The distribution process itself is worth examining in detail. The IRS is using a combination of direct deposit and physical checks, depending on the information they have on file for each recipient. If you've received tax refunds via direct deposit in the past, you might receive your stimulus payment the same way. However, many payments will be sent as physical checks, hence the importance of having your correct mailing address on file. There's also been some confusion about whether this payment is related to or affects other federal benefits. Rest assured that this stimulus payment is entirely separate from programs like Social Security, Medicare, or unemployment benefits. Receiving this payment won't impact your eligibility or payment amounts for any other federal assistance programs. Looking ahead, there are some important dates to keep in mind. While processing begins this Monday, the IRS has outlined a 12-week distribution window. This means that some eligible recipients might not receive their payments until later in the schedule. The key is to stay patient and keep monitoring your mail and bank accounts during this period. The response to this announcement has been overwhelming, with many Americans expressing both surprise and relief at this unexpected financial assistance. Social media is buzzing with discussions about how people plan to use their payments. What would this $2,345 mean for you and your family? How would it impact your financial situation? It's worth noting that this payment is part of a larger economic strategy implemented during the Trump administration. While some aspects of that strategy have been debated, the focus here is on getting financial assistance to Americans who need it. How do you think this kind of direct payment compares to other forms of economic stimulus? As we wrap up this discussion, remember that staying informed is crucial. The situation is still developing, and there might be updates or changes to the distribution process. Have you signed up for IRS alerts? Are you following reliable news sources for updates? These steps can help ensure you don't miss any important information about your payment. Finally, if you're eligible for this payment, start preparing now. Gather any documentation you might need, verify your contact information with the IRS, and keep an eye on your mailbox or bank account. The sooner you take these steps, the smoother your experience will be when the payments start rolling out. Remember to like this video and hit subscribe if you want to stay updated on this and other important financial news. Share this information with friends and family who might be eligible, they'll thank you for it. Have you encountered any other questions or concerns about this stimulus payment? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll do my best to address them in upcoming videos.